Is this Dracula's real castle? Bram Stoker's Dracula is one of my favourite books, and if you've ever read it, you'll know that some of the most haunting scenes of the book happen in Dracula's castle. I read about the Dracula trail last year, and in particular about New Slane's castle, and I was keen to have a look. This is the very sandy Cruden Bay on the Aberdeenshire coast. Malcolm II is said to have defeated an army led by Canute, Prince of Denmark, here at the Battle of Arden Draft in the year 1012, but tradition has it that the battle was so brutal and so many died that the two sides retired in the darkness, and when they came back in the morning and saw the level of slaughter, they called a truce. The Danes left and Malcolm founded St Olaf's Chapel in tribute to those who'd lost their lives. Canute went on to become King of England, Denmark and Norway, which sounds like a decent consolation. This is New Slane's castle, not to be confused with the old Slane's castle. That's about 5 miles along the coast and was destroyed in 1594 under the orders of James VI. Him again. He declared the owner, Francis Hay, the 9th Earl of Errol, a traitor for betraying him. Francis ran off to Europe, but eventually came back, and after becoming a Protestant, he was back in the good books. Sometime after 1597, he built the original Tower House here. It has obviously been remodelled and rebuilt a few times since then, and every time it seems to have grabbed a bit more land. I'm slightly worried the sea's going to grab some of it back though. It looks a bit precarious. It was last altered in 1837, before eventually falling into disrepair and having its roof removed. But what makes us think it's Dracula's castle? Surely that's in Transylvania. Bram Stoker never actually made it to Transylvania, the Carpathian Mountains or Bran Castle. The castle everyone calls Castle Dracula. He did travel a lot though. Abraham, or Bram Stoker, was born in Dublin in 1847. He was a busy man. He wrote 15 novels, but he was never massively successful as a novelist in his lifetime. He was really a part-time writer. He worked as a film critic and later as a personal assistant to the actor Henry Irving and business manager of his Lyceum Theatre. In 1890, he was on holiday in Whitby, and in the library there he found an 1820 book, an account of the Principalities of Wallachia and Moldavia by William Wilkinson. In that book, he read the line, "Dracula in Wallachian language means devil." He ended up setting a few of the chapters of the novel in Whitby around the Ruin Abbey. I've been there and I loved it. It would be a cracking location to set anything gothic, even if the thing that really did scare me was climbing the steps with my 5-year-old son and no proper guardrails. So he could pursue his writing outside his busy day job, he took month-long holidays and stayed here in Cruden Bay in the Kilmarnock Arms, which is pretty much the opposite end of the country from Kilmarnock. He was here every year between 1893 and 1910 and actually set 2 of his novels here. He started writing Dracula in 1895 and published it in 1897. The count is 127 this year, but that's nothing in the life or death of a vampire. If you've ever read it, it is kind of strange by modern standards, written as a series of diary entries, letters and memoranda, and it doesn't bear much relation to the films. Bram Stoker died in London in 1912. In an interview in 1927, his wife and executor Florence said, "When he was at work on Dracula, we were all frightened of him. It was up on a lonely part of the east coast of Scotland, and he seemed to get obsessed by the spirit of the thing. There he would sit for hours like a great bat, perched on the rocks of the shore, or wander alone up and down the sandhills, thinking it out. We kept on ascending, with occasional periods of quick descent, but in the main always ascending. Suddenly I became conscious of the fact that the driver was in the act of pulling up the horses in the courtyard of a vast ruined castle, from whose tall black windows came no ray of light, and whose broken battlements showed a jagged line against the sky. Let me advise you, my dear young friend, nay, Let me warn you with all seriousness that should you leave these rooms, you will not by any chance go to sleep in any other part of the castle. It is old and has many memories, and there are bad dreams for those who sleep unwisely. The castle was built on the corner of a great rock, so that on 3 sides it was quite impregnable, and great windows were placed here, where sling or bow or culverin could not reach, and consequently light and comfort. The Count halted, putting down my bags, closed the door, and crossing the room opened another door which led into a small octagonal room, lit by a single lamp and seemingly without a window of any sort. It seems pretty likely he would have at least been partly influenced by this place. Having written the early chapters here and wandered around on that beach over there, he could hardly have missed it. Even if you don't think so, it's still somewhere well worth coming to. Just be careful if you do. There are doors into rooms that don't have floors anymore. I'm not sure I'd want to camp out here or anything. It's kind of spooky. I suppose that's the point, and I'd probably fall off a cliff. But what do you think? Is this what Castle Dracula looks like in your head?